Alrighty, so let's talk about the cell cycle. So in your cells, in every single cell in your body, you have a crap ton of DNA. That's the technical term, a crap ton. Just kidding. You have 46 chromosomes, and in those 46 chromosomes, you have about 20,000 to 25,000 genes, and those genes control every aspect of your body, what you look like, what proteins you make, whether or not you're able to digest milk, all of that stuff. And the chromosomes that you have were passed down to you from your mom and your dad. You got 23 from your mom and 23 from dad. And the cell cycle explains how new cells are made and how the cells that at one point made you are made. So I'm going to start with mitosis. So mitosis is how your regular body cells are duplicated. You start off with a regular cell that has the 46 chromosomes, and those 46 chromosomes are going to duplicate, and after it duplicates, the cell essentially splits in half, so each new cell has 46 chromosomes of their own. This is also how reproduction works with single-celled things like bacteria. They just split in two, and they call it good. Now, there's a bunch of little steps you see down here at the bottom. You don't need to know all of those steps. That's just a diagram to show you what the process is like. The DNA is duplicated, the cell goes through a process of splitting up, and the end result is two identical daughter cells to the original parent cell. Now, normally, the cell doesn't spend a lot of time dividing. The cell spends most of its time chilling out, growing, producing proteins, whatever it needs to do. It only spends a relatively small amount of time duplicating the DNA and actually going through the process of splitting up. And certain cells in your body split up more than other cells do, like your skin cells. They reproduce pretty quickly because we lose skin cells a lot. Your brain cells, however, pretty much are stuck there. You can't kill your brain cells, but it's harder to grow new ones than it is your skin cells. Whenever you have a body cell that starts to divide uncontrollably, we call that cancer. Cancer can be, cancer's always bad, but sometimes it can be worse than other times. Sometimes your cancer will just stay in one area and the tumor can be cut out and you'll be fine. Other times it will spread throughout the rest of your body, which is more dangerous, but it just depends on the type you have. Now, the other type of cell reproduction is called meiosis. Now, this is how your sex cells are made. So remember, humans have 46 chromosomes in their body, 23 from mom, 23 from dad. Meiosis is the process that produces those cells that only have 23 copies of the chromosomes, because when 23 and 23 add together, you get 46, which is how many you are supposed to have. So it's pretty similar to mitosis. You get a regular cell, the DNA duplicates. However, instead of splitting apart just once, it goes through two series of splits. And that is how each cell ends up with half of the amount of DNA it is supposed to. So meiosis will produce 4 genetically diverse daughter cells from one original parent cell. And the reason that meiosis produces genetically different cells is because of a process called crossing over. So at some point in meiosis, the homologous chromosomes will line up in the center. I'll explain what homologous chromosome here is in a minute. But the chromosomes will basically line up next to each other, and they will trade little pieces of each other. So the red one is going to give part of itself to blue, the blue is going to give part of itself to red, they're going to do some trading, and that is how you get genetic diversity with meiosis. There is no crossing over in regular mitosis. So I'm going to go and draw the process of mitosis and meiosis because I think that is the easiest way to explain it. So bear with me as I draw 1,000 little X's and stuff. So with mitosis, remember, you have 23 chromosomes from mom, 23 from dad. So I'm going to draw the chromosomes from dad in green over here. So I'm going to draw 23 green chromosomes from dad. And this is in a regular body cell. And another word for that is diploid, because you have 2 copies of the chromosomes. So I'll draw the 23 from dad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 23 from dad, and I'll do mom in blue. Alright, so this is how many chromosomes you have in any one of your body cells at any given point. You have 23 from mom, 23 from dad. So I'm going to write that down here below. You have 46 chromosomes And another word for chromosomes is a chromatid. So one individual squiggle is called a chromatid. So at this point you have 46 chromatids. Now, I mentioned homologous pairs earlier. Homologous pairs are the copy of each chromosome you get from mom and dad. So chromosome number 1 here, the one you get from mom and dad, that is considered a pair, like a pair of genes. So at this point you have 23 homologous pairs. All right, so now the next step is to replicate all of that DNA so the cell can split into 2. So in the replication process, each individual chromatid is going to grow another chromatid, and they're going to be attached at the center. So they'll look like this. So I'm going to draw 23 duplicated chromosomes for dad. And I'm going to draw 23 replicated chromosomes for mom. Alright, so at this point, we still have the 23 homologous pairs. We still have 46 chromosomes. However, the number of chromatids has doubled. We now have 92 chromatids because each little half of the X here is its own individual chromatid. So now we have 92 chromatids all together. Now the next step, and draw more X's, is for all of this DNA to line up in the middle of the cell. So I'm going to draw all of these chromosomes lining up together. And then I'm going to draw mom's again. Lots of X's. So at this point, all of the chromosomes are lined up in the middle of the cell, and now the cell is ready to split into its 2 new things. So what's going to happen is that these 2 chromatids are currently connected at the center. One pair is going to go this way, and the other one is going to go this way. So by the time the process is done, each new side is going to end up looking just how they do over here with the 23 chromatids from dad. And then the 23 for mom. I may or may not have miscounted there, but it's okay. So after the split, each new cell now has 46 chromosomes, 46 chromatids, because remember the 92 we had right here just split in half, and the same 23 homologous pairs. So that is how you get 2 identical body cells out of 1 original. So now we're going to do the same thing with meiosis, which is pretty similar. Actually, let me go back to the other note. I'm going to do the same thing with meiosis, and I'm going to keep with the original here because the same process is happening in the beginning, so I don't have to draw 1,000 X's all over again at least. So with meiosis, you start the same exact way. You have a regular cell, and all of this DNA is going to duplicate itself. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that. Alright, so all the DNA is duplicated itself, and just a reminder, at this point here with the original cell, we have the 46 chromosomes and the 46 chromatids. Now at this point we still have 46 chromosomes because one of these counts as a chromosome. And we have the 92 chromatids. Alright, so with meiosis, remember that the homologous pairs line up and that the chromosomes go through this process of crossing over. So this green X is going to give some of its green to the blue, and the blue is going to give some of its blue to the green, and this is what creates genetically diverse cells. So from now on out, I'm going to use purple to describe that they have crossed over at this point. And so this section right here is going to split into two, just like how it did before, except the sister chromatids are not going to split apart. Each cell is just going to get a series of X's. So let me draw that real quick. How did I put that ruler there? Go away. Okay. Alright, so this is the first split. Let me label that. First split. Now, after the first split, we have gone down to 23 chromosomes and 46 chromatids. Alright, so this whole thing is now a new cell, and this whole thing is now a new cell. Now to get down to, we need to get down to 23 chromatids, so they are going to split one more time. That will be the second split. I should have left myself more room, but that's okay. Alright, back to purple. So now, these sister chromatids are going to split apart at the middle, just like how they did for mitosis, and half of them are going to go to one cell. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so this is now a new cell, this is now a new cell. Same thing is going to happen on this side. I'm going to draw them down here because I ran out of room. So this is now a new cell, this is now a new cell. And all of these new cells now have 23 chromatids / chromosomes. So that way, when this cell meets up with another cell in the future, the 23 and 23 will combine to give you a regular 46-celled future person or organism or whatever thing you're dealing with. Alright, so with meiosis, you get 4 genetically diverse daughter cells out of one original. Mitosis, you get 2 identical cells out of the one original.